Element number 2, critical drivers. Critical drivers measure the activities that your team does daily to produce your weekly KPIs. In other words, a critical driver is a cause and the KPI is the effect. Obviously, a wide range of factors impacts the performance of your business. And the secret is to focus on a handful of critical drivers that are number 1, specific and measurable, number 2, will accurately reflect business progress and performance, and number 3, can be compared to those from previous periods. To establish which critical drivers to track, you got to ask yourself these questions. What drives my sales figures? How many leads do I get daily? What are my daily conversion rates? What is my daily number of transactions? And what factors drive costs? Is it my labor, my wholesale pricing? If you're not getting the results that you want according to your KPIs, then you've got to look at your business activities or your critical drivers. This will help you understand whether you're tracking the most relevant activities or not. You should track between 3 and 5 critical drivers or daily activities for every employee that is working in your business. This is how you gather the measurements needed to calculate your weekly KPIs. Here are a few examples of critical drivers: the number of leads, the number of sales calls, the number of customers. After you record these daily drivers, you then have the raw materials, right? The numbers that you need to calculate key performance indicators or KPIs, such as how much revenue did I generate this week? What is my profit margin after expenses? The process of tracking critical drivers and using them to calculate KPIs may seem intimidating. Baby steps are key here. Just look at one number at a time and then go back to my 5 criteria and start from there. What are the basic costs of running the business? And what daily numbers does your business generate? And how does all of that affect how much money that you can successfully reinvest into the vehicles that power your financial freedom blueprint? Element number 3, standard operating procedures, SOPs. Standard operating procedures, or SOPs, are a set of step-by-step instructions compiled by an organization to help workers carry out routine operations. You could probably write an entire book on your company's SOPs, but let me just say this. If you or anyone else who works for you regularly performs a step in your business, write down the step's proper execution process and standardize it. This is a critical and necessary step in the delegating process that will enable you to free your time. And I just got to step out of the script of the book for a moment. I just got to tell you, listen, so many business owners operate like lone wolves. They think, man, if you want it done right, you really got to do it yourself. But you're going to get trapped. And you don't want to get trapped in a business, which means that SOPs should become fun and exciting. It's like, wow, we figured out how to do something. We learned how to do this customer service call, or we learned like the best way to sell this product, or we've learned out how to do this fulfillment. You should be writing that down and then saying, hey, this is the training manual, because guess what? If you ever have to fire someone or let go of someone and you hire someone else, instead of taking them through some crazy training process, you've got the SOPs. You can basically hand that manual to them and say, this is how we've learned up until this point to do the business in the most successful way possible. Think of an SOP for a moment as a manual for how people perform work within your business. The most efficient way to create your SOPs is to make an employee responsible for creating the SOPs that produce the recorded results in their particular role. SOPs make it so much easier to onboard new employees. Instead of holding their hand throughout the training process, you can provide them with the step-by-step manual that explains the most efficient way to perform duties. As long as you hire right by bringing in people who are fast learners and teachable, SOPs make hiring and training a more hands-off endeavor than most business owners believe it can be. Create an SOP for the 3 fundamental areas: marketing, selling, and fulfillment. And then you want to document each of those processes. For example, marketing. What is the precise process for generating leads? And what do you do with the leads once you generate them and put them in your pipeline? Selling. How do you approach a sale? Is it hands-off? Is it an involved process? Is there a script? And then fulfillment. How do you track orders to make sure that you are over-delivering on the promised value? Once you document SOPs and track KPIs from the critical driver data that you regularly collect, you empower the business to become a well-oiled machine that requires only the most minor of weekly adjustments. If it's not already glaringly obvious, the key to running a hands-off business that generates massive income is the proper groundwork. This plan is not for the lazy. You need to be diligent and detailed for several months, but think of the long-term payoff. How much are you willing to invest for a few months to enjoy a lifetime of wealth and time freedom? At the end of the day, it is the math that makes it all worthwhile. Let's say for a moment that you invest $100 in total expenses per sale for a service that sells for $200. By netting $100 for every sale that you make, that creates a 50% profit margin. Now let's just say that you acquire 100 new customers in 30 days. That's just over 3 customers a day, which at this point should frankly be like shooting fish in a barrel with the right lead generation system and sales funnel. You spend $100 of fixed cost per sale, and you also have 100 customers, so it's a $10,000 investment that you're paying. But remember, you're collecting $200 of gross revenue times 100 customers, which is $20,000 of monthly gross revenue. So let's do the ROI on that. You have $20,000 of earnings. You have a $10,000 investment of going out for the expenses. You multiply that 100 and you're getting a 200% ROI. This is a triple-digit ROI in a single month, as in 1 month. And by the way, if you're doing that spread over the course of 12 months, then you're going to go from a triple digit to a quadruple digit ROI. And frankly, that should get you super excited. This is why your net profit margin matters so much. So listen, find the numbers that make it worthwhile, do the research, put in the initial investment, or just don't bother at all. Phase 4, the handoff. Listen, you found an exciting business idea and you vetted it. You ran an experiment and determined that the business can produce at least 50% of the expected results. Then for 90 days, you optimize the business idea by determining its KPIs, its critical drivers, and you documented its critical SOPs. It has been an intense 4 months or so. I realize, I get it. But the hard work is truly almost over. And that's the beauty of this process. The time has now come for you to hand it off to somebody else after you've ensured that the business has the processes and procedures in place that will produce the same or better revenue and net profit margins. You put in some work, mostly in the form of research and testing on the front end for a few short months. But after that, the amount of time that you spend, that's going to be up to you. I'm willing to part with up to 20% of a business profits for somebody else to take on 95% of the workload and therefore free up my time. And I want to pause for a moment. I'm going to go off script again because I really want you to really understand the math of what I just said. If you've got a business that's now making this money, I find that you can give up 20% of the money to literally let go of most of the work, if not all of the work, other than you just checking in from time to time and expecting the critical drivers to improve, the KPIs to improve, and that the more successful you become, that you continue documenting even better SOPs. This should be the goal of every business owner, but we live in a world where it's not. People left and right just get stuck thinking this is my new job because society trained me that I'm supposed to have a job and work for money. That is not true. These 4 phases are designed to free you so that you can get onto other investing or starting another business. And again, creating what millionaires have, multiple streams of income. The goal with such an involved evaluation process is to ensure that you can hand the business off for other people to run so that you can enjoy your life and all of its blessings. After you've successfully been through the 120-day process and completed the handoff, you're simply going to have weekly meetings with the operator or the manager to review and ensure that the KPIs are improving as the business is growing. Warning: the biggest mistake a business owner makes is claiming that working in their own company will allow them to create higher profit margins. Don't do that. Your time is far too valuable to be tied to a new job when the original goal was to create freedom. Remember, you're looking for a minimum 25% profit margin or more after paying out all the different positions, even including your job that you were once doing in the business. This does make it easier for you to enjoy a healthier profit margin while freeing your time and having the money to pay someone else to do that work. And that's what leads to true freedom. Time to rinse and repeat. Every business has its own natural market cap. So when you feel your time is no longer being financially rewarded by spending more time in your business, it may be time to do it all over again with a new thriving business idea. Yes, you can repeat this process and start another business and yet another income stream. This is how you generate seismic returns that enable you to achieve complete financial freedom in a few short years instead of a few decades. Definition time: market capitalization. Noun. Market capitalization, or market cap, refers to the total market value of a business. The term is usually reserved for companies that are actively traded in the stock market. But in reality, every company has a natural cap or ceiling that they reach, beyond which it would take too much time, money, or effort to increase. When you consistently track KPIs, the market cap of your business should naturally reveal itself. And that's just the ebbs and flows of trade and supply and demand. If you repeat this process, you'll develop more income streams. More importantly, every time you successfully complete this process, you will generate more income to place into your reserve vehicle to fuel your other investments. This is how you take maximum advantage of compounding interest. Generating an active income through a minimal time commitment business allows you to exponentially increase your investment potential. With each active income stream created, you're placing more money into your sleep well at night account and generating more peace of mind. You're putting more money into your passive real estate and stock market investments, producing double-digit and triple-digit ROIs. And you're also enabling your reserve vehicle to fuel even more active streams of income with impressive net profit margins. Fast forward a few months or years down the road, and your whole outlook on savings, investment, and retirements, and basically the future, will have completely, entirely transformed. You'll think back to the early days when you thought it was impossible to stash 20% of your income away, and you want to write a letter to that older version of you. Dear past me, hang in there. You're doing an incredible job. I know the 20% feels so hard, but it doesn't stay hard. You're about to step into complete financial freedom. I'm proud of you, and I can't wait for just how good it's going to feel when you get there. Sincerely, future me. Take it from Trent. You may have been wondering how things turned out for my forensically minded friend, Trent. Well, I'm happy to report that he followed my advice and kept his promise by following my 3 simple rules. Because of that, he's been able to take more control of his own destiny. And here's what happened to Trent in his own words. Whether you're one of Kris's best friends or someone he just met, you will discover that his willingness to help people is sincere. Kris asked me if I was willing to try something different, something you don't hear from most people. He believed I had what it took, and I trusted that he knew what he was talking about. Kris explained a commonly overlooked way to generate leads online. I was fortunate that I had not lost my job yet, but I knew I couldn't keep doing it much longer. And if I didn't get fired, I'd quit. So in the beginning, I committed to spending up to 2.5 hours a day before and after work following up on the leads, primarily from Facebook. I started booking jobs, and within the first 30 days, I booked enough to earn $9,100 in commissions. The first and second weeks were slow, and I started to get frustrated, but I trusted the process, and weeks 3 and 4 picked up some serious momentum. Trent has since taken the opportunity to step further than most people do. He hired someone to help him generate and track leads. Trent also hired a social media marketing firm to optimize and run variations of the Facebook ads. Then he expanded his market reach across the United States. After testing his new ads for 6 weeks, he kept the high-performing ones, he scrapped the duds. My friend has taken a very systematic approach to making this side hustle a long-term, lucrative, active income stream, and I couldn't be prouder. Trent now expects his side hustle that enabled him to quit his old job to consistently bring in from $8,000 to $12,000 a month with a time investment of just 30 minutes to an hour a day. The fascinating part is he started as a business operator and became a business owner within a few months. Now he delegates others to do the tasks that he doesn't want to do anymore or doesn't have the time to do. Here's Trent's advice. If you're not willing to take a risk and potentially lose for the first couple of months, then don't do it. But if you're willing to put yourself out there and are able to bounce back from rejection, because it's inevitable when you're in business, then you can do this. In fact, anyone can. You just have to decide to be bold and have confidence. Trent went far beyond replacing his income and made enough money to leave his job and step into financial freedom. 4-digit ROI through an active income that generates at least a 25% profit margin can be the game changer. Trent now has multiple income streams, and it's changed his lifestyle, his goals, and overall financial direction. Looking for a thriving business or side hustle that meets my 5 standards? I have several that I'd like to tell you about. I'm talking about ventures requiring minimal time after the evaluation period. These businesses grant you the freedom to continue working your day job if you want and saying goodbye to it forever if you don't. If you want to access a quick guide to the top 6 business opportunities that meet my thriving business standards, go to kriskrohn.com/business. Now that you're saving and investing like never before, you also have more options than ever before. So let's shift gears and accelerate into our financial freedom blueprint's 5th and final stage, infinite ROI through strategic partnerships. All right, into chapter 8 checkpoints. Let's see what your takeaway lessons might be. Number 1, traditional business goals leave out a critical ingredient to create both profit and value without sacrificing too much of your valuable time. Takeaway number 2, there are 3 fundamentals of business required to take your venture from surviving into thriving. You must have a plan for marketing, selling, and fulfillment. Number 3, every thriving business must meet 5 criteria for selection. Number 1, a high profit margin. Number 2, an abundance of leads. Number 3, a simple business model. Number 4, a delegatable process. And 5, a customer-focused passion. Takeaway number 4, to rapidly launch a thriving business, utilize the 4 launch phases: evaluate, experiment, optimize, and outsource. Number 5, key performance indicators. KPIs are how you, the business owner, meaningfully interpret the numbers that matter in any business. And finally, takeaway number 6, creating standard operating procedures, SOPs, in all 3 of the fundamental areas of business will prepare you to successfully hand operations over to someone else after the evaluation period. This means that you remain the owner and not the operator. Quote time. No one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play it. H.E. Lukoc.